So you need to split a lot of firewood. Well, before you go out and spend tons of money and possibly throw your back out with some super heavy splitting axe or maul, I want you to consider this little gem right here. This is the 4-pound Fireside Friend splitting tool made by Estwing in Rockford, Illinois, forged out of a single hunk of steel, and then they put a rubberized overmold on it. And with only a 12-inch long handle, 14 inches overall, I was blown away by the splitting power of this little tool. And in a day and age when it seems like everything made in America costs an arm and a leg, it is shockingly inexpensive. But hold it right there. Before you jump all over this thinking you're getting the ultimate budget one-tool option for camp or the homestead, it might excel in one job, but it falls dead last in another. That could be make or break for some of you. And so in today's video, we're going to break down what the capabilities and the absolute limitations of this little Estwing Fireside Friend splitting tool, mini maul, whatever you want to call it, is, and whether or not it might make sense for you, especially if you're on a budget and you need to split some wood. All you regular viewers, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, this is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in and talk about splitting wood. Now guys, be smart, be safe. I always wear eye protection when I'm splitting wood. Make sure that you're not gonna miss and come right into your shins, you know, things like that, and use all the proper safety measures. Now, let's talk about what's great about this tool. And I had seen it for years, but I was actually walking through a local hardware store and scored this thing for under 40 bucks. And that is the normal cost for one of these things. I was like, I gotta see what this thing can do. We're splitting wood back here all the time for the fire pit and when I'm testing stuff, things like that. And so for around $40 or less, regardless if it's popping up here, link over to my Amazon store, wherever, however, or you're going through the hardware store, getting a USA made 4-pound hunk of 1055 carbon steel is a steal, especially in this day and age. And so I'll have all those links for you guys if you're interested. Now, in the description and popping up wherever. Okay, here's where it excels, right? We are looking at about just over 2 inches of this wedge design that has a completely flat face with almost no transition from the edge all the way to back here with a maximum thickness of over 1.5 inches. So it's between, I think it's like 5/8. 1 5/8 of an inch thick. And then we have a massive pommeling back. Now, what does that mean? It's super front heavy. Okay, so this is not a precise instrument at all. Basically, if you can stand it up and let's say it's the average, 2 feet or less of length, this should be able to explode it with a couple swings, no problem. This is basically like a wedge or a maul with a handle. I mean, that is what it's designed to do, but what that means is you don't need a lot of your own force and energy. You don't have to yourself. You just let the tool do the work for you, and it's gonna explode those pieces of wood down to size to fit into your stoves, your ovens, like whatever you're doing, or your fire pit, whatever it may be. It's gonna be able to do that, and then you have basically a 4-pound hammer. So if you need to hammer in things, definitely use the ballistic nylon scabbard, and this is a good scabbard. So it's really nice that it comes with that. Some axes and hatchets out there, you have to buy that extra, and so now you're trying to like find one that fits perfectly. I mean, that thing just sits really nicely there. So with this back end, I mean, I can hammer in tent pegs around the campfire. There was like a foundational little rod sticking out I just saw on my foundation, so I just tap that in sideways with it. And then you can also use that obviously in more of a maul. If you have a sledge, mini sledge, something like that, or just another piece of wood and you want to pound that way, you're going to be able to split on the back end as well. So it just gives you a lot of versatility in the splitting arena. The rubberized overmold is very shock absorption based, so it's going to be able to hold on, and you're going to have not only good grip with the lanyard, but it's going to absorb a lot of the shock. Now, if you want to get crazy, for a little under 60, they do have a leather stacked blacked out like limited edition that I think comes with a leather scabbard as well. So if you really like kind of old school styling of old Estwing hatchets and you want that on something like this, there is that option as well. So that's a cool kind of variety that you can choose from. So indestructible and gonna explode wood on a level that other hatchets and axes of the similar size are not even gonna come close to. Man, don't mind the planes today. I can barely get a sentence in without... Man, it's like freaking getting bombed over here. Stupid dive bombers coming down on me. Anyway, okay, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so that's the good. Now the not so good. Before you just like, oh, I gotta... This thing can split great for its size, outperforming many of its size and even bigger. It cannot chop to save its life. If you were wanting to go sideways on a piece of wood, this thing is not designed for that. It is extremely cumbersome, does not hit where you want, and then often almost like ricochets off because of how broad the head is and the lack of power for a big, big hit that maybe a double-handed axe would have. So if you're thinking you're going to be delimbing, splitting big branches or logs to then split again, you know, like you're going sideways on it and you're going to chop, 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 and then turn it on its end and then split it, not happening with this tool. It sucks. It sucks at that. Not designed for that, and cannot do it. It is dead last compared to any of the many, many tools that I own for chopping precision, chopping power. Because of how heavy it is, it can be kind of fatiguing, and you basically are going to be using this purely for splitting or hammering. That is why you're bringing it. If you want to chop, there are way better options in the size range, regardless if you just go with the standard Estwing axes and hatchets. Those are going to do a lot better. They won't split like this, but they will chop and can do decent splitting. Or you can go with like a FISKARS, the X7, the X13. We've reviewed those and talked about those in the last year or two a lot. Those are great kind of like well-rounded tools. Again, won't split wood like this, but will do okay. Will hold their own at splitting. You might have to exert some more energy, be a little more skilled in your splitting, but they'll be able to chop without issue. So that is really the drawback to something like this, is that it's really a one tool, meaning one task option for splitting, not chopping, and that's where it's going to work and that's where it's going to fit. Just a quick rundown I wanted to share with you, now having had it since the spring and split tons and tons of wood with it over the last several months. Good in some ways and dead last in others. Leave a comment below what you guys think about this Estwing Fireside Friend. I always got to double check, Friend Fireside. Splitting tool, and if you own one, how to use it, and do you see value in it, or is it better to go with a more well-rounded hatchet instead of a mini maul? Appreciate you guys. Check out the other videos, subscribe, and until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.